Day 179. So, I recorded I should say Ramel and I recorded day 177 on Saturday night. Um, and honestly, it's like, I don't know. I'm still smiling. I'm still excited about it. Um, I think, I think I made a really large step that night. Um, I've been working through this book called Find Your Why by Simon Sinek, and I got the stars kind of aligned on Saturday night, and I reached out to Ramel because I don't know. I thought he'd be good at helping me find my why. Part of the Find Your Why book is say like find a partner and talk through it, and yeah. Actually, I should change this. So I would argue I did 2 hours of deep focus work when looking for my why. And I got a lot closer. And feels good. I feel like it feels good that I am getting closer to these things. So I didn't get a lot of work done today because of different obligations and things, but when I reflect about my conversation with Ramel on Saturday night, first of all, I'm pretty surprised how well the exercise worked, because I don't think we really followed it to the T with the book, but we followed it close enough that and I put 100% effort into trying to get there, and so it's about how much effort you put in. But the find my why, the why being, and this will grow and this will change. And the book says this, like, let it be a cake, let's let it sit for a bit. Like if we bake it, let it sit and relax, and then we can frost it and everything. Let's let it relax and let's just let it sit and set for a while. So I'm going to try to give it like a week. So, a couple days in, but I still feel a lot better about my why. I feel like, I have something closer to something I can hold on to for years and years and years. So the way I'm describing it now, after talking through it with Ramel and thinking about it the last couple of days and reflecting on it, and I watched the video back with Ramel to try to get more insights, is my why is to be the best coach, mentor, leader, parent, friend that I can to my kids, and using my energy to to do that so that they have a really good person and role model and person they could copy, assuming they're going to copy me. The assumption is that they are going to copy me pretty closely and pick up on my good and bad habits. And so let's be very specific and actionable with what habits they're going to be copying. And that is a really good question for me. What habits am I teaching them? And what habits do I want them to take on that I do? So, having that kernel of a why has been really helpful, because I started framing decisions with it. I'm kind of testing it while I'm letting it set. I'm testing the thought bubble, and it's like, what would the perfect mentor or coach to my kids be doing right now? What would they do about this good or bad habit? What would they do in their free time? What would they do in this tough moment? How would they spend their time? And honestly, it's really helped me focus and narrow in on taking really big open-ended questions and distilling them down into more careful or simple answers that have less choices, And I think that's also been the key to my growth so far, is limiting my choices. So, I'm not gonna get too excited. I'm gonna try really hard just to like stick with it and let it sit and set some more. But the more last night I was asking myself this question, like, what would what would the best, most powerful, best influence mentor or coach, like, if I had to pick one person to be the best person that my kids would copy, who would I pick? And the problem is it's me. So like I have to pick me, but like pretending that they're going to pick somebody else, who would I want them to pick? It's kind of like, who do you want your kids' godparents to be? Like if you could choose anybody on earth, who would you want them to be? I think it's easy to pick the billionaires, but they're not always happy. I think there's some wisdom there too, that's not a perfect life either, and there's a balance, and there's a navigating what's good or bad, and I also I know it's always going to come with a healthy dose of whatever I am, the kid's gonna not want to be like me. For a lot of their teenage years, they're gonna say that I'm wrong and stupid and bad, and I did that to my parents, and my kids will do that to me, and I think that's gonna be tricky, but I think I keep coming back to is like, I gotta stop creating these impossible questions and then saying, if I can't answer them, I can't start, or I can't move, or I can't change, I can't take a step forward. I need to just take a step forward and let the really difficult situations happen as they happen, rather than, say, if I don't know how I'll handle every single decision the rest of my life before they happen, I can't start. So I think that's a bad habit I fell into for a lot of my life, and I think I'm letting myself grow out of it and just let the unknown be unknown, and let the hard questions and decisions have to be made, but not be made today. And we'll get there when we get there, and assume I'll feel differently then, or better, or no more, and rather than assume that I won't, let's assume I will have an answer for that question, or assume it won't happen, or something. Let's assume a positive spin on the question rather than the negative, because I get so worried about the superlatives, about the specific, mosts and alwayses and leasts and nevers, and I want to make all these rules that on one hand are like very rare, and on the other hand, like, I'll probably have a closer to an answer if I actually keep working towards it. So I need to keep working towards it. And so I think, if anything, I'm learning to analyze less and do more, which maybe a lot of people could tell me that to my face pretty quickly after meeting me, and whatever. But that's my ceiling to grow from. So, but it's felt good. I felt a lot more certain, a lot more powerful so far. A couple days into this, like, I've lost my why about working out. That's why I haven't worked out in 6 days. I'm gonna take off today, but I'm gonna start again tomorrow. And when I think about the best coach, mentor, person that could be influencing my kids, that person works out. That person might not be 100% vegan and make every life decision through the lens of like, what is the absolute best decision I can make in this particular moment? But overall, overwhelmingly, they make really good decisions, good long-term decisions. And that's closer to what I need to be. And I think tracking myself like this is really getting me there. So it's almost like I was heading in this direction. Like, I rewatched my day zero, the day I started this project too, could kind of see how much the why has changed. And when you actually watch it, like, I don't think the why has been that different. I'm getting closer to being able to specifically articulate it and specifically point it out, and say what is in and out of that why and that purpose statement. And I think that's been really helpful to both sides to see that I'm not just fluctuating so randomly and so all over the place, but that me putting an effort into this is actually getting me closer to it. And it's getting me more accustomed to make decisions that way, more disciplined about sticking to things. I keep trying to use that the what's the one thing that I can do such that everything else becomes less or becomes easier or necessary question more and more in my life. And honestly, it's helped so far in my relationships. And really that question, the answer to a lot of that question in most scenarios in life is if I find my why, then I'll, be able to answer these other questions more easily, or I won't even have to answer them. I'll just kind of walk around those problems of paralysis analysis and what should I be doing? What should I be spending my time on? So I do think letting the cake set with this and continue to travel down this, like, what is my why purpose thought bubble is really good. And it's how you become a good mentor and leader and someone people want to follow is you have a very clear purpose. So I think that's been, when I sat back and said, what should I be working on right now? I think that was a really good answer that I've stuck with for a little while now, and I'm getting closer to the answer now. I'm going to kind of, as I keep going down that road, I'm going to transition to this book now. That's the next book I'm going to read. Between that one and there's one more about thinking big that I got to find. I definitely bought another one, or maybe it's still coming. I need to think bigger. The best mentor and leader and coach and friend that my kids can possibly have thinks really big and thinks really long term and thinks like a CEO, thinks like a billionaire, things are done with purpose for that person, and the sky's their limit on their dreams. And so if I want to give that good habit to my kids, that's how I have to do it, how I have to execute on that, and thinking big. And it's all part of it. You can't achieve big things unless you have big dreams to start. And I've never really had big dreams, honestly. I've always had, as I told Ramel, and on Saturday 2 days ago, day 177, I just feel like I've spent so much of my life in regret minimization mode or pain minimization mode, because that's how I was making decisions. The why was, how do I make the most money with the least amount of stress so that I don't ever let my work influence my family? And I was really trying to keep those two things separate. But the more I see myself as someone that my kids are just going to copy, I don't know. I don't know if that's the lesson I want to teach them as much as I want to teach them to go for it. Be all in on something. Try, fail, go. Like, don't take it so literally. Don't put yourself in between the success or the failure. You're going to learn more from failing than you will from succeeding, and you'll learn more from trying than you will from not trying. And I guess I want my kids to learn, how to do these things. And I think that'll create a better life for them. I don't know that. That's the hard part, and I don't want to push too hard or not listen enough to get the outcomes that they need or want, But I think it makes more sense to think bigger and try harder than the opposite. And I think that'll always be true. And so I think that's like a Jeff Bezosism, is like, what are the things that are going to be true in 10 years or 15 years or 30 years still? Not the things that are going to change. And I think the things that are going to stay the same is people want to have dreams and people want to work to achieve them. And oftentimes when they achieve one, they try to go to the next one. And that's what seems like what we do all day, all year, all decade, is have an idea and then take steps towards it. And then as soon as we achieve it, we find a new one. So I think using that lens, I need to be careful I don't put so much pressure on myself that it ends up backfiring and making me feel bad, I need to keep remembering that if I did none of these things, I would be a very good dad. And that is nothing, there's nothing against that person. It's more like I'm raising my hand and saying maybe there's a higher ceiling for me as a dad, and therefore there's a higher ceiling for my kids and for my life. And I'd rather try to push towards it than sit around afraid of it or not even trying. It feels like it feels less fun to not try. We can talk about purpose and regrets and everything. I mean, I'll regret never pushing for my ceiling when I'm older. I don't want to like have it come at the cost of my kids, but that's where I do that thing that I was upset is a bad habit, where I make it one or the other, right at the first step. And maybe it doesn't have to be one or the other. Maybe it's take steps every day towards both. And when the hard situation comes, and you work through it, rather than never try, never raise your hand, never put yourself out there, never grow, because growth might hurt somebody or be uncomfortable or not get you exactly what you want. I just need to do one day at a time towards my goal. And I think that's enough for me right now. I think pad stats will still need a why. I don't think my why will translate into the company very literally. I think I'll have to kind of massage it a little bit to have it work for pad stats. But I just feel good. I feel like I took a real step forward, more than I have in a while. And I feel like I know what I need to do, which is find my ceilings and break through them. But I think I really needed a more sound why to put myself through this pain, because it's painful. I know that. I'm feeling it. And it's unnecessary, and I think there's an argument to say that what's one pain versus the other pain? If I was sitting around not growing, that'd be painful too. So I might as well just pick one. And it sounds like I might as well pick the more fun one. And it might be more painful sometimes, but I think it'll be more rewarding other times than sitting around trying to reduce pain or regret less or, be thrifty. Like, it just seems, like the best people, the people I want to be like, and the people I want to learn from. And therefore, I would hope the people that my kids want to learn from and that they'll be happier and better well off if I'm like that, are super optimistic, super big thinkers, and super high effort people. And I think that's the answer. I think that's my new optimization question. It's not how do I optimize dollars per stressed hour. It's how do I achieve the biggest dream possible? And I'll work through that one. That might change a little bit, but I think that's a better question. And these books all say that stuff too. It's like everyone lets better be the enemy of what's the same, and we don't think we can be happier. We don't think we can be better parents. We don't think we be better workers. And so we don't even try. When there might be limitless new experiences and feelings and emotions and abilities that are sitting there for me if I just start raising my hand and going for them. But it's so easy to, point to something and say there's nothing else there. There's nothing more to learn. There's nowhere else to grow or grow. And the best people in the world don't do that. They keep getting bigger, thinking bigger, thinking bigger, thinking bigger, trying more and more. And I want to be like them, and I really think that will really positively impact my children. I think it's two. It's both. It's both and. So it's gonna be painful, but I think I'm finally understanding. I'm understanding why I have all these books sitting on my desk that I need to read. Because I just feel like there's real answers out there for the first time in my life. It's not that everyone wishes they were me. Like there's more out there than just minimizing the amount of pain you have to the point where you have so little pain that you're bored. I think there's more out there. I need to be in pain and I need to be uncomfortable in order to achieve and to grow and to do bigger, do better. I'm sure there's a place for regret minimization and pain minimization. I think I'm still going to make my decisions that way. A lot of times I got to watch it and make sure it's not holding me back. But I don't know. I don't want to run around life scared. That seems like a quality I don't want to pass on. I don't want my kids to be daredevils and hurting themselves, but I don't know. I feel like my brain is built to be this analytical, pain minimizer, and therefore I think it could actually be a superpower for me if I can train it to also be optimistic and also think really big, because I might be able to really reduce the risk of those big dreams while also working and achieving them. So, like I read something somewhere that like some of the best entrepreneurs are actually very risk averse, and it's always like a weird thing to think about or say out loud, but it doesn't. It could be true that they actually find ways to reduce risk along the way, and that they do it both and, right? They reduce risk and they still think big. And I'm feeling powerful. This is one of those days. I'm feeling really good, really powerful. So all right, well, that's my day today, 179. And Sean and I are going to keep pushing forward on the rental estimate. I got to do some different coding and things to keep us pushing on that. And so far it's working. I'm building the flywheel. I'm building the thing that keeps me pushing when I get stuck right now. And I think it's going to pay dividends for years, that I'm putting this much effort into the purpose and the why at the very beginning to give us that toughness when we get stuck in the future, and that gives us that big idea of what we can do, what we're capable of, to keep focus, throughout this whole thing. So I feel like I'm just saying the same thing over and over again, but it's just good. It's just good to have, it's good to have a true north. I think it's a more simple true north than what I've been trying to create. So, all right. Well, I'm gonna get to work. I got a lot of work to do. So I will see you tomorrow, hopefully.